Hey all, I'm replacing the heater core and the evaporator core on a Fox body Mustang, and I kind of wanted to show everyone the difference between the evaporator cores when you're looking at what original was and what the replacements are now. And I have compared both the inexpensive replacement from China and the one from Original Air or Classic Auto Air. And the Chinese one and the Classic Auto Air are pretty similar, but I'll show you guys the difference here in just a second. So we'll look at the evaporator itself. This is the original evaporator core, and this has 11 rows in it. The replacement evaporator cores, this is both for the one from Classic Auto Air and the less expensive Chinese one. They have 13 rows in them, so it's going to be a little bit more efficient, especially with that R134. I'll talk briefly about actually putting the evaporator core in. The way the workshop manual directs you to do it is these are actually cut lines, and they tell you to cut this completely out and lift it out through the top. But there's actually a better alternative because Ford left us something to help out on these. When you look at the case, these tabs right here are meant for metal clips. Now from the factory, these things are bonded together, kind of like a glue, but they pull right apart. And if you use a plastic panel tool and kind of work it along the edge, it'll make it really easy to split this to take it apart. I'll show you what it's like when it's apart. Before I flip this completely over, I want to show you guys one other thing. So most of you will be taking this apart just for the heater core. I'm going one step further to try to make my AC a little bit more efficient. But this is a brand new copper brass heater core from National Parts Depot. As far as I know, they are one of the few suppliers that has that. But we see here our blend door, and my heater core was definitely leaking. You can see the coolant on there. It's still a little bit damp actually. And one of the problems with these doors is as they age and get a lot of heat cycles through them, they start to warp. They're actually made out of plastic. And this one here I've actually already taken apart. But you get some inefficiency with that door itself. LMR's got a really cool kit, and that's what I'm putting in this. And it is an aluminum door. Obviously, it won't warp, and it's a very, very solid piece. It's going to give you that crisper feeling with your temperature control. LMR, when they sell the kit, it also comes with the seals, and the seals work great. Everything is right up to the edge where it's supposed to be. Good quality stuff. I did have to do a slight trim on the edge of this just to get it to fit a little bit cleaner in there, but it doesn't wobble back and forth or anything. It's really a good fit. So this is the case completely apart. Blower motor would be on this end of it. Blower motor, the whole assembly with the recirc door removes pretty easily. This is actually the top of the case. So you have to do this from the with the case upside down as you're putting the evaporator in. Now, you're supposed to transfer the seal from the old evaporator core to the new one. I have not been able to find the actual seal, so I cheated a little bit and I just used some weather strip, just the rubber stuff from the local hardware store. And this is just basically screen door, a rubber gasket. So a little bit of foam, it's got some give to it, and it's about the same feel as the original one. The reason I'm not using the original seal on this is it didn't exactly come out the way it was supposed to. And you could see after 35 years or so, it just doesn't compress the way that it did from the factory. So utilizing this works a whole lot better in sealing this case up. Now, when you put these in, again, you're feeding it in, through the hole that goes to the other side of the car to the firewall. And then here's the important part. You can't just let it sit here in the middle like that. So you want to push this as far to this edge as you can. And you can actually see how it seals up right here. Hard to do this with one hand on the phone, but I'll try to show you here in just a sec. So when this thing is properly set, that actually makes a seal on the end of it. So all your air that comes into the car goes right through your evaporator core first. So moving forward on the installation of the top, found that if you put this up on a box, it holds this to the edge a little bit better. If your blower wheel is still on there, you have to remove that to split the case. So that's a really important part unless you want to cut the whole top of your box up. Before putting the case together, just to make sure that we don't have any whistles or unusual conditions, I want to use a little bit of butyl. Got a roll of it right here, and you just put a really narrow line of butyl all the way around the case. Now the reason I use butyl instead of like a silicone is butyl will pull apart, so if you ever do have to remove it again, it'll come right apart. Butyl's also a great long-lasting sealant. You don't need a lot of butyl when you do this job. I used about 8 inches or so, and it went around the entire case. You want to be careful about sealing up near the blend door shaft. Make sure it doesn't bind up or anything, but I'll show you what. And it's a real thin bead. You kind of just stretch it out as you're putting it in here. Try to cover as much of the case as you can. Be practical. You can see where the factory line was, like in this area right here. It wasn't glued by the factory. Top of it just slides right down. You want to kind of wiggle it in with your seals. And then for your panel door, make sure you line that pin up as you set them down. Just not have the top and the bottom put together. The pin is in. Everything is where it should be. Clean that up a little bit. And the evaporator core is in place. And it should lean towards the blower motor side of the case. So as of today, the heater box clips are really only listed for first generation Mustang. Kind of crazy because in the parts manual for Mustang, it lists this clip all the way up to 1993. Now, like I said, you look for these tabs. There's 5 of them on the case, and you just get your clip and don't drop it. Pop that into place. And that's all there is to it. Do that around the whole case, and then you can finish putting it together and reassemble it into the car. Even if you're just doing a heater core, you're going to use butyl. And the butyl kind of just stretches out as you're pulling it back, and that's what you want to do, is just stretch and press it in, stretch and press it in. This will go all the way around that channel where the butyl was from the factory.